if you watched the America's Next Top Model, what is it, documentary or whatever, I think that you and I must be clear. She ain't sorry. She don't care. She would do it again because the times. We're going to go ahead and get into it. But first, the intro. And welcome back to another episode of the Daily Donna with me, Dr. Donna. I am your hostess with the mostest, your sex and relationship therapist in the Washington, D.C. metro area, the author of Drink Water and Mind Your Business, A Black Woman's Guide to Healing the BS. And, well, unlearning the BS and healing self-esteem. One day, I'm going to know the title of my own book. While I don't know if you were out here in these internet streets. I don't know if you've been Netflix and chilling, but the ANTM docuseries, whatever, came out, I think, today or yesterday. Baby, let me tell you, Tyra is not sorry. Okay, so I am not Tyra. I do not live in Tyra's body. I am unable to make a definitive I cannot make a definitive conclusion on whether or not she is sorry, but I can tell you that it wasn't giving remorse. I can tell you that given that no one has said that they have ever received an apology, it's not giving I actually apologize. And given the way that she sort of acted on the show there, it also is giving I don't really care. Now, for those of you who don't know what an actual apology looks like, we're going to talk about that first, right? Because making sure that we are on the same page about what an apology actually entails, I think that is the thing that frames this conversation. So, when I worked at a middle school or an elementary school, I don't know exactly what it was, but the babies were babies. I think it was like 5th and 6th grade, so maybe elementary. We taught them the 4-step apology. But when you're an adult, when you're a big kid now, you get the 5-step apology. And because you're a big kid and I'm a big kid, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you about the 5-step apology. So this 5-step apology goes as follows. You say you're sorry. That's the first part. You have to actually acknowledge that you have done something worth apologizing for. Number 2, you have to say for what you are sorry. That means that you don't just get to say sorry that you felt like that, because that's wild behavior. You actually have to say, I am sorry for insert your behavior, your culpability, your whatever, your zhuzh here. Next is to offer restitution. You have to restore the other person. Give back to them. That's the adult part. The giving back, the making it right, making it better, using your resources, your time, your money, your energy to make it better for the other person. And create a plan for what you will do the next time. Next time something like this happens, I will ... Now that part doesn't necessarily need to be said to the other person unless you're taking full responsibility. And then of course you got number 5. Do you forgive me? Right? You can ask whether or not somebody forgives you. Sometimes you will already know that the thing that you did is so heinous that nope, they won't. And even though you may ask for forgiveness, it is not owed to you. Because while you get to move on, when you harm somebody, when you traumatize somebody, they get to live with that thing that you did almost every day. They feel the consequences. They live the consequences of your actions, which means that if they choose not to accept your apology, that is up to them to do. But the part is about you, your integrity, your insides, your innards, you doing what needs to be done. And Tyra is not sorry. She don't care. She don't care enough to even pretend to be sorry. That woman ain't said sorry once. She didn't apologize twice. She will give you she will give you everything else. And I want to say that she's half right, half wrong. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Specifically, her first excuse, the context of time. The times were different. Let's frame it in the time of the early 2000s. And the thing is, she's not wrong. Oftentimes, we are taking something outside of the context of which it was created, lived, and thrived, and we are trying to apply a completely different lens to it. Hindsight is 2020, yes. And those times literally, actually were different. So some of what she was talking about is true. However, you will recall that in this 4-step apology, I said you have to actually acknowledge and take responsibility for your actions. That means doing so without excuses and then working to make amends. The homegirls in that show basically was just like, Tyra didn't do that. Tyra didn't apologize. Tyra was more like, yeah, I saw you struggling, my bad, girl. But part of making it right then, or doing a full apology, even then, to Danny, for example, or Danielle, excuse me, as she is reclaiming, would have been to say, not only I'm sorry for the role that I played in the difficulties that you had after the show, but here, what can I do to offer restitution? Not really asking, because you have to do some of your own work, some of your own thinking, and do some of your own walking so that you can make it right. But Taka don't have no remorse, because as far as she's concerned, that was just the age of the time, that was par for the course at that time, including the screwing over of her own friends, Miss J and Mr. J and Nigel. She screwed them so that she could do what she needed to do. And I was just like, hey, okay. They put UPN on the map. And anybody who grew up when I grew up also knows that we call that network the underpaid Negroes. But when it comes to like the context of time, the time does matter. What was going on at that time, what was allowed, what we were seeing as far as modeling, what we were seeing as far as television, because I mean, she mentioned the real world and I was just like, whoa, right? So it was supposed to be a cross between the real world and not America's Got Talent. You know, the other one that Kelly Clarkson won. American Idol. Oh, yes, that sounds right. American Idol. So if you're thinking about it as a cross between those two shows, the real world did not offer anything real good for anyone in this real world. It was mindless, mind-numbing, ridiculous entertainment, which means that while she may have given us her altruistic reasons for starting, ANTM, I peeped something, and I hope you peeped it too when she said it. In the first episode, she said, you have a magazine, but I have a TV show. And she talked about it as being a get back to the fashion industry. Now, to add a little more context than I think that this gave us, Tyra Banks hit the scene when Naomi Campbell was already queen. And when she came in, people were just like, oh, the queen is about to be replaced with Tyra Banks. Which, if you are also hip to conversations around colorism and texturism and featureism as well, then you would already see how that could be a very destructive way to sort of pit two models against each other. Because at that time, Tyra was also doing high fashion modeling. But here she is, she's younger, she's lighter, she's got light eyes, and they're talking about replacing Naomi Campbell. I'm like, the Naomi Campbell? Lost your mind. But they were pitted against each other in magazines and newspapers and all that other stuff at the time. And then something tragic happened. Tyra got titties. Tyra got hips, Tyra got ass. She got a body-yaddy, and the body-yaddy did not fit the size 2 sample sizing and the aesthetic that, the Paris fashion houses wanted for the people who were going to be walking their clothes. So consider that is also part of this here conversation. Yes, she became a Victoria's Secret angel. That's because that's what boobs and booty will do. So part of the context is that the fashion industry also turned her out. So when she said, you have a magazine, but I have a TV show, that's I remember that piece of the context. So some of that context felt like a get back. Like y'all wouldn't let me in, y'all wouldn't let me stay, y'all wouldn't let me be. And so I feel salty about that. And because I feel salty about that, I'm willing to I kind of want to expose y'all. Almost like I like they felt like a little bit of exposure, but I know that she also said that what she really wanted to do was change the industry. And I think that starting off with beautiful intentions at the beginning is always a lovely thing, right? It's how can I make sure that other people don't have to go through the thing that I went through in order to be here? That is beautiful. That is lovely. That is delightful. And I've seen that some of y'all on the internet, in these internet streets, are definitely talking about how that was the intention. And I want to say, like, even Eva the Diva has said, like, she started this thing with the best of intentions. However, it does not equal impact. The intention may have been X, get more people who look different into the industry, which I think that she also met in some ways, if we're going to be like truly honest. But we also have to talk about the impact. The other piece of the impact is that while her show and her people, Miss J, Mr. J, Nigel herself, were able to have their meteoric rise to the top, to be the names, to make ANTM so successful that they were able to go from 3 rooms in season one to several rooms and taking the girls out of the country. That the cost is not one that they had to pay. It's one that the participants had to pay. So the intention for the show, beautiful, delightful. We want to expand the idea of beauty while also beating these contestants over the head with what the beauty is supposed to be, which, I mean, that's a choice. But also, it's just sad to see, right? Because it's like, yes, did they open the door a little bit? They absolutely did. Did they harm these girls in the process of trying to make that happen? Absolutely. And after they knew that those who had been on the show, especially in those early seasons, after they knew that they had a hard time actually getting the work that they promised that they would be able to get, they didn't change their tactics. This is part of how I sat in it. I was just like, she's not sorry because she was fine. She's not sorry. She brought it up on her own talk show. She's not sorry. She wasn't willing to do anything different. She's not sorry. She's never actually said those words. She's not sorry. She didn't make any restitution. She's not sorry. She didn't even name what she did wrong. She's not sorry. She's not trying to do anything different next time. She does not care. And I'm not saying that she has to care. I'm not saying one thing one way or the other. But I am going to say that there is an expectation that because she is a Black woman, that she would behave as a good Black woman to other Black women, especially on her show. And when she failed to do that, there was surprise. But I've also seen the rhetoric that some of y'all already know about the workplace culture, right? That sometimes you have those other Black women who act like you're there to take their place and they don't have any offering of help to give you. I am going to be probably talking about this for days, right? Like this is the third, I'm going to call this part 1 of deconstructing ANTM. But it was in the first episode where she basically was just like, I have a show. And the conversations that they have had about self-esteem, I really want to dive into, but we're not going to do that today. We're probably going to do that tomorrow. So please do come back for another Daily Donna with me, Dr. Donna. And let me know, did you watch any of ANTM's docuseries? Have you watched the first episode? And did you catch when she was just like, you have a magazine, but I have a TV show? And really, I guess the more important question is, do you think that Tyra is sorry? Because maybe she said it somewhere and I just ain't see it. Before we close out, I wanted to make sure that I talked specifically about the apology piece, the 5-step apology that we started the show with. And I think that what we need to remember is that apologizing, meaning it, following through, this is a skill. And a lot of us are falling a little bit short in that skill. We have been taught that it's simply okay to say sorry, almost like a here, damn. So it's like, sorry, damn. Like, I don't know why you can't get over that thing happened so long ago. The thing only happened so long ago to usually the perpetrator, the person who had to live with the consequences, who's harmed by the consequences. For them, that thing didn't happen 20 years ago. For sometimes, especially when there's trauma involved, that thing happened yesterday. That thing happened this morning. So it is easy for someone who was in a position of power on the show, who was the perpetuator of some type of harm, to say, here, damn, sorry, and remind you that it's 20 years ago. For them to blame it all on the times, as though blackface, for example, was acceptable even in the early 2000s, right? As though wearing fat suits and pretending to be poor or homeless was ever, in vogue, right? When someone only blames it on the times, it means that they are doing a really great job of taking no responsibility, especially given that one of the last things that she did was say, but y'all watched it. As though some of us watching it weren't in high school, weren't children ourselves, learning the world through this TV show, learning about the possibilities of being a model from this TV show. There was food here, yes, but some of it was poisoned. And it is okay for us to be able to acknowledge that she had an intent, and maybe she met that intention, but she also had an impact that may have been unintended, but that still persists. An apology would mean that she doesn't want to see that happen again, that she recognizes the role that she played. That means that she would have to take her responsibility and not just blame it on the times and on us for watching. Yes, we watched. And that means we have to take accountability for the role that we played. But she has to take responsibility for what she did. Right now, it's your fault you shouldn't have watched. It's your fault, or it's their fault. It's the network's fault. It was that guy's fault. It was everybody's fault except me. I am only a victim here, just like you. Taking true accountability, taking true responsibility means apologizing, meaning it, with changed behavior. Otherwise, your apology is nothing but what? A manipulation. Apologizing is a skill set, and you will need it for any relationship that you have with anybody, your friends, your family, your lovers, and others. So practice it. Get good at it. Be ready to say that you are sorry and mean it with your chest. But women outside, stop apologizing for existing. We're not doing that either. All right. You know how I like it in the comments. Discourse, not disrespect. And remember that I am a therapist. I'm not your therapist. And we will continue to have our conversations with a slightly therapeutic edge. Bye.